Yeah. Good afternoon, dear colleagues. Ukraine Crisis Media Center continues its work, and now we are going to speak about e-declarations, who are the first to submit their e-declarations this year. And our participants are Minister of Justice of Ukraine, Pavlo Petrenko, member of, and also Natalia Sevastianova, and the members of Anti-Corruption Agency and volunteers. Good afternoon, dear friends. It's very pleasant to start this press briefing about institutional changes that are on the way to create National Anti-Corruption Agency. And Ukraine, for 20 years of its independence, it was associated not with the fighting corruption, but with corruption itself. And this is a huge problem that is not only in regard of our partners, but also Ukrainian citizens and the power. And our common task is to change this attitude and to establish another approach and another paradigm, and to show that Ukraine is not corruption. This is the fight with corruption and change. And this is the task for all the representatives of civil society and representatives of the new power. And that's why during the last 2 years, we had some institutional changes and a number of bodies were created. And they were started from ground, and they did not envisage reforms because that approach, it didn't have success, and any reform of the old body means the preservation of traditions of corruption schemes that were laid there for tens of years. That's why I would like to inform you on the steps that we make together in order that one of the most important anti-corruption bodies, and I believe that preventive anti-corruption body, National National Agency on Corruption on Fighting Corruption, it becomes established and it will function properly as it is with the National Anti-Corruption Bureau. So these are the first steps that were made, and the chief staff of this unit was created, and also together with our international donors, we developed the system of e-declarations as the key instrument of control of civil society to monitor the activity of civil servants. So this is what Ukraine have, but we shouldn't stop, we should move further, and our task before the society, and we believe that till the end of the year, we should start the activity of National Agency for Corruption Prevention. This body should start its work, and also all the we take part, active part in this, and we established this body, and we would like to announce that at the meeting of government that will be held tomorrow, we will initiate the matters connected with the premises for Agency for Corruption Prevention, and also this year, all the public servants of these bodies, they should submit e-declarations. And the first case, our task, and it is envisaged by law, that this year, through new procedure of vetting, the public servants, the top officials, they should go through the process of vetting, selection, and also some public servants of regional level will be vetted. And the philosophy envisages that the first year of work of the National Agency for Fighting Corruption, it concentrates on top officials. These are ministers, their deputies, people's deputies, prosecutors, and heads of administrations and their deputies, also the judges, those who should be under monitoring of public and also new anti-corruption bodies. Those who are below them, common civil servants, they will be in the system the next year, and they will submit the declarations, e-declarations next year. So you know that for 20 years they fought corruption, and they only had minor cases, and they provided report that they fought corruption, and they caught some regional level civil servants, and we changed the philosophy of approach of monitoring of the activity of civil servants. Also, we introduce powerful instruments of monitoring and control, and these are instruments of public control of the activities of public servants. The institutes of so-called informants that will provide information on to the National Agency for Corruption Prevention regarding the abuse of office of this public service. When they use their office in order to gain some illegal profit, and also the conflict of interests between the civil servant and some enterprises or bodies, and this will provide us with mechanisms to fight corruption effectively and to prevent corruption in the system of fighting corruption. And the last block I wanted to pay attention to and to ask our heads of the National Agency for Corruption Prevention to focus on training and education, because corruption is not only exists in public service, it exists in the minds of people who for many years they got accustomed that there are some rules when people, then they provide a present to a teacher or a doctor or a militiaman, they believe that they act correctly. So we should change our approaches and to provide zero tolerance of simple common Ukrainians to any corruption. And if we carry out this task, in that case, the National Agency for Corruption Prevention and Anti-Corruption Bureau, they will be successful, and Ukraine will get rid of this corruption. And for us, these will be changes, real changes, and Ukraine will be the most successful country of Europe, we hope.
My name is Oleksandr Skopych. Good afternoon. Member of the National Agency for Corruption Prevention. Today, we already conduct our activities, meetings of our agencies. The resolution of the Cabinet of Ministers has issued a resolution establishing the staff number of our agency, and we carry out our meetings, and we have approved the regulations and the staffing of our agency, and we are now working on getting the premises. The premises should be equipped with special equipment. We understand that technical means that will be involved in processing of electronic declarations, they will be a very important factor in our activities. So we do not have premises. Thanks to our international partners, we have already developed the form of electronic declaration, and we have developed the methodology of filling the declarations. This concerns assistance of international donors, and now the information supplied by international partners should be processed. Declarations will be approved at the meeting of the National Agency, and within 60-day period, those declarations will have to be filled. The second, all members of top management of the National Agency are working on the list of those people who will have to fill the declarations, mandatory list of respondents. They will be civil servants of categories A and B. We should understand that this is the first time and we will face challenges, but we engage international partners who will provide us guidance and help to establish the required system, and I hope that very soon we will have the system launched. I would like to inform you also that the national agency today continue working on the first wave of recruiting technical staff. They will help us to make contests, selection of specialists to civil services on transparent basis and to our agency as well. And well, thank you. Indeed, the success of any corruption prevention body lies in preparation and start of new procedures and processes. Electronic declarations, they are surrounded by various myths that millions of people will fill out the declarations. The declarations will be 40 pages long, but they are myths, they are not true. 1 month ago, along with colleagues from the World Bank and UN, we have conducted presentation how the e-declaration will look like. And we tested it against unauthorized access, and as soon as the form of new e-declaration is approved, then the start of 60-day period will begin, but the Ministry of Justice continue to support the newly established bodies and conduct elucidative activities, and so when any civil servant, so that civil servants, every of them, will have no opportunity to say that they don't know how to fill out the declaration. So along with our colleagues with the World Bank, we have developed the infographics elucidating how to fill out the declarations step by step. First of all, this infographics provides information who should fill out the declaration, and then provides the step-by-step instructions on filling them out. So in February this year, every civil servant should be supplied with electronic signatures. This was a decision of February. Now most of civil servants have already electronic signatures, and they can use it if these electronic signatures are eligible. This means that if your ID is included in your key, if you do not have a key, all civil servants will not be obliged to go to some accreditation centers to get such keys. The Ministry of Justice offers a streamlined procedure for getting filling out the declarations and signing them. If you are a minister, you should issue an order and assign a person responsible for accreditation center's liaison, and this employee then will be responsible, and he will submit us a petition from such applicant and documents, copies of documents, and generate keys directly at the requesting agency. So to generate keys for the whole central apparatus of the ministry, just 1 day is required. So this is the responsibility of each top manager of each agency, just to appoint a person responsible responsible, so that this person conduct all the functions required for supplying electronic signatures to all servants of that agency, and also bank ID could be used as well to sign the electronic declaration. The register of electronic declarations will be an open register. The information on personal details will not be in open access, in public access. All other information, all other data will be open to all. It will be in free access. So we hope that the system of electronic declarations will be launched as soon as possible. Thank you. Good afternoon, dear colleagues. My name is Kotlyar Dmytro. I represent the World Bank and the UNDP. More than 1 year, the UNDP and the World Bank, supported by the Great Britain and Denmark, they support us with creating electronic declaration system. The last testing is at the final stage, and it will ensure reliability and operability of the system. We are at the very end. In several months, the system will be launched, and the National Agency for Corruption Prevention will soon issue a decision saying when the launch date of electronic declarations will be. There are several technical aspects. One of them is how in the system of how civil servants will authorize in the system. One of the methods is using electronic signatures, and we are very thankful to the Ministry of Justice and Government for dissemination of information and provision of efficient opportunities to give electronic signatures by majority of civil servants and by other persons who will be obliged to submit declarations. So this is very important, so that they receive them. These signatures will be valid for 1 or more years, so we call on everyone to use information, materials, and opportunities to get electronic signatures, and in summer this year to take part in filling out electronic declarations. The first wave of declarants will cover the top officials of civil service, but we hope that all other people subject to declaration, they will number about 1 million. And they will be the second wave of persons who will fill the declarations. So the activities of the National Agency for Corruption Prevention activities will start, and we hope that the government will help with provision and equipping of their premises for their office of the National Agency. So the role of the National Agency is important. They should launch the system into operation.
Do you have questions? First, introduce yourself. Valeria Shaprenko, Ukraine channel. I have several comments about National Agency. Tell us, please. We're told that it will start its work till the end of this year. And what about the declarations? When they will submit these declarations? Thank you for your question. Agency is already in operation. We carry out our meetings, and when we have the opportunity and we understand that technically we are ready, and this and we can provide service, and we will establish the forms of declaration, and also we will submit the list of persons who will be the first who should declare. And what is the time frame? It will depend on the premises, so maybe in several weeks. and also about the staff. What is the number and what is the vetting process? The provision of the Cabinet of Ministers provide 311 personnel, and also we will employ also people to civil service, and these positions, they are equal to the cabinet of the, and also according to current legislation that is in force till 1st of May, that can be reappointment or some sort of training, and then the new law comes into force, and we have only one way, is a transparent contest, and some technical staff will be hired, and then we will have a contest, and there will be requirements established. That about this we will provide information in the in the media, and also on our site, and then we will propose to the candidates to undergo this contest and to be employed. And what about the staff as of today? It is established according to the Cabinet of Ministers decision. These are 4 people at the moment. I have a comment. Maybe I didn't listen to you maybe and didn't heard everything, but what about the text? Was it coordinated? And when I'm going to submit the content to the Cabinet of Ministers, the form of the declaration was presented several weeks ago. Ukrainian organization worked on the form of the declaration, and now discussions are on the way, and we will submit this issue to the National Commission, and then we hope that this form will be established. So we hope that it will be till May. Oh, we will hope. We hope for this, that there will be service where we can provide this information to, and then the form, it is in open circulation, I believe. It will be in circulation, and it will be presented, and it corresponds the requirements of the law. It is logic, and you cannot do any mathematical errors. If you the program will direct a person in order to avoid mistake or to correct mistakes. UBR TV channel, tell us please about the verification. For example, you see the assets of the public servant. What is the scheme, how to work with the civil servant, and what sums will raise concern, or what presents, and what is the sum? Thank you for your question. We carry out activity that is absolutely new for Ukraine in order to understand this. And we understand the national agency, we understand that there should be established order, the presence and sums of money. So everything will be assessed in this order, and there will be limits established. And the public will be informed on this. So in this way, the work will be carried out. For example, 3,000 of salaries, and the person live for much more. So I say that the order will be established. We work on these figures, and the person will be verified. He will be invited for an interview, and he will give his explanations, and then these will be assessed, and analytical work will be carried out, and it will be identified. It is about, if it is about several thousand of hryvnias, maybe a person can explain that these were presents from relatives or something like that. Or for example, if there is a case of several million of hryvnias, so a person, for example, he cannot explain where he got this money. So we have, firstly, we will establish limits, and also the way of acquiring of the means. So we have a press conference, and I will add, as one of the authors of this draft law that was adopted several years ago, months ago, the philosophy of the law envisages that the National Agency for Corruption Prevention is not a law enforcement body, but has a broad responsibility as to monitoring of the lifestyle of the public servants. And the agency has the access to all the registers that exist in the country. And we see the same practice with the National Anti-Corruption Bureau. So we will have the access to all the registers of property that are public now, registers of business that are public, and transport means register that is also public. And there are categories of public servants, category A and B, the highest civil servants, that need this monitoring, because we know that millions of civil servants, it's very difficult to monitor all of them, because we cannot do this. But those top officials, top civil servants, they, for example, ministers, prosecutors, judges, heads of administrations, they should undergo this monitoring, and their declaration will be verified. As to methodology of monitoring, national agency will develop this monitoring strategy. But if there is information and declaration about some property or assets that do not correspond to the registers on the property, vehicles, or business. So this is the ground for carrying out verification, and this is a ground for the National Agency for Corruption Prevention to provide materials to National Anti-Corruption Bureau as a law enforcement body. And there, criminal law, a criminal code is used. And if a person has some, this is Article 366, and under this article, if a person has illegal assets, so they will be punished and even imprisoned for up to 6 years. So this agency is a great means that will help Anti-Corruption Bureau to conduct investigations fastly. And if, for example, a civil servant had several thousand of hryvnias, he will provide his explanations, and maybe there will be some administrative fine. But if he cannot provide the grounds of these assets that he got, for example, he works for a small salary but has some property for millions of dollars, he will be, the investigation will be started. So we carry out analysis, and we see first results, first cases on prosecutors and judges that were detained because of committing some illegal actions. That's why now the Anti-Corruption Bureau, they have more work to do. Georgians of Maidan, so the question to the minister. I have a question in the context of corruption in executive service of the Ministry of Justice. I have a document that the Ministry of Justice, this is the management department, it is said that executive service of Sosnovsky region of Cherkasy town, it violated the law on the executive service, and for this, because of this violation, they sold a house of a person, of my wife, and I was in the EDO area at that time, and the Ministry of Justice, they say that this person was just fired, and they didn't punish this person who executed this. And it's one way, it's your business to punish someone, but if a person, maybe you should return the house, you should annul this decision. Thank you for your question. You can submit these documents to us, and if there are facts of abuse of violations and he was fired, second step, we will do everything possible in order to help you, in order through criminal proceedings to return your property that was illegally seized from you. This is a problem, and the complex problem is that we should reform executive service as we did with registration service. There was a body really corrupt in the system of governmental power, and it was liquidated, and now these responsibilities are provided to notaries, and in 3 months the complaints has reduced. And there are no bribes in that, because there are no grounds for the corruption, and executive services, they should be reformed. And unfortunately, there is no much result, not many results in this, but there will be real responsibility of the executive officer. If he did something wrong, he should compensate through insurance and at his own expense those losses that were made to the person. And secondly, the mechanisms that envisage the Institute of Private Notaries and private executive offices, because if they do something illegal, they will be deprived of licenses. And those executive offices that work now, they have 2,000 of salary, and that's why they have no motivation to work properly. And I address people's deputies that they should vote on the reform of the system of executive service, because without new courts and new system of execution of courts decision, there won't be any reforms. And I believe that in several months court reforms will be started, and in your particular case I will do everything in order to through the law enforcement bodies to help you to return illegally seized property. Thank you very much for coming, and when you will have your premises and you will start the work, we hope that you will come here and report about your activity. The next briefing is at 3 p.m.